Just check I pronounce it correctly. Ablet Web?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, good morning and welcome to our final set of sessions from LTSMG24. How are you all feeling this morning? Oh, look, yeah. Pete's wide awake. Yeah, it was a good night, wasn't it? Some, I think, did you have enough meat last night? I'm not sure. Yeah, just about enough to go around, wasn't there? Fantastic. So make sure you've dropped your raffle card in the bowl just by the entrance. Final reminder to do that. That's it, George. Pop it in there. Very good. Okay. Good. Excellent. So we'll be doing the raffle prize draw at the end of proceedings this morning. We've got a few presentations this morning. And basically hand over to Matt to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Dave. So yeah, this morning we're delighted to welcome Robert Ablett-Webb, who is the Director of IT for UCL East, and he's going to talk us through the experience of delivering this building and how it's operational and running. So let's give a warm welcome to Robert.
Great, thank you all and good morning. I hope you could all hear me. This is quite interesting. It's the first time I've been in this space actually using it. Usually I'm on the other side of that where she was saying, well, that's not working, that's not working. And we were sort of setting up. So it's sort of great to be here, sort of seeing it in all its glory. Full disclosure, I'm only here for the raffle. You know, good prizes over there. So good luck to everybody later. And from looking at the WhatsApp sort of group, you all had a good time last night, so hopefully you're sort of ready to go for this morning. So what we're going to talk about a little bit about me. I'll try not to focus on that because no one really wants to know about that. But a quick canter through really kind of setting up this building in terms of IT and operations and what we've done and where we're going, touching on a few different things. You'll hear me talk a lot through this about sort of partnering, engagement, user communities and so forth. I'm kind of focusing on that for this talk rather than the technology and so forth, because you've heard that from some brilliant people like Sheila and Katel and others. So you kind of heard all that. Let's talk about the engagement side of it a little bit more as well. So just quickly about me. So Director of IT for UCL East, I've been involved about 2 and a bit years now, sort of over on this campus, sort of looking after things, helping get everything set up. Prior to that, I spent some time over at the Financial Conduct Authority doing business partnership stuff over there, sort of working with their teams, liaison for the Bank of England as well in terms of technology, which is really interesting. I got to see some really cool parts of the Bank of England as well. Most of my career, there's actually been over in the city in the legal sector, doing partnering engagement over there. And weirdly, because someone asked me this just before the presentation started, was there a lot of different similarities between the FCA and here? The answer is no. But there is a lot of similarity between a large global law firm and UCL or any large university because of the polycentric nature of how these organizations work. Sort of everyone wants to sort of work in slightly different ways, but there still needs to be support from the center. So in my head, there's a lot of overlap between how a law firm operates and how a large university operates. But to give you some context about where we are and what's been going on here, as you know, we've constructed 2 new buildings, Marshgate, which is the big one, and the Paul Street building, which is on the other side of the river. That equates to about 50,000 square meters of space. That might be a stat you've heard before. We like to tell people that. It's about 8+ hectares of space, the equivalent of 500 homes, you know, big old housing development. UCL East is unique to UCL in as much as it's not a particular faculty or department or anything like that that's here. We have got multidisciplinary programs here. We have 8 of our faculties coming together to produce novel teaching programs for students, novel research. This is very much about sort of the future looking forward. That meant we had to design spaces that supported all of that and thinking about all of that, you know, and that diverse needs of what staff need, what students need. But it also meant about thinking about different ways of working, because these are shared spaces. And again, this is new ground for UCL in terms of different departments, different faculties using the same space, whereas in the Bloomsbury world, they sort of have one space and it's very much theirs and they can manage it and control it as they see fit with a degree of sort of central IT support as well, but it's a different paradigm here. So it's a shift in how people are working, and we had to think about what that meant from a service and support point of view as well. In the run-up to opening last year, we're also managing a really complex set of requirements around sort of hardware, IT and AV in the rooms, what was going into computer clusters, what software was needed. Got this tsunami of stuff that came towards us sort of last year that we had to manage and deal with. And the programs themselves having their own challenges out. They were thinking about what they need to do, what their teaching program looked like. They hadn't necessarily recruited all of their own academic teams sort of last summer. Some of them were quite last minute, who then came in and wanted to sort of do various things and had their own list of requirements in terms of how they wanted to teach. So it's supporting all of that, getting people through that, guiding them, thinking about the students, the staff, the academic teams. All of that had to be done, and we had this very sort of fixed, immutable deadline of sort of September into October of last year for the start of the 2024 academic year. So a big challenge really to get all of this done, and I'm sure Sheila and others have sort of spoken about that a little bit as well. So the role of IT operations at a high level, really obviously essential for successful running of the building. That's the obvious one. We have to keep the lights on, it has to work, but also expectations incredibly high with this building. UCL East is a flagship project for UCL. There will be others in the future, but right now, we are very much sort of at the forefront of that, and the spotlight is really on us as an entity. So expectations really high, people wanting to make sure when they come in, everyone gets a good experience. It must just work from day one. Also, it has to be consistent with the Bloomsbury experience, but feel like an evolution of that in terms of the facilities available here. What we didn't want was people coming into this building and feeling it was alien, that it was different, they didn't know how to use things. It has to feel, when you're coming over here as a student or a member of staff, the AV works in the right way. You understand how the computer clusters work. Whatever it is that you're using, it feels consistent. But at the same time, you also get that UCL East sheen. Everything feels newer and shiny, and that little bit better because of the investment that's been made. You want to make sure people are sort of seeing where we've spent the money, and we are investing in our staff and our students appropriately. We've also got a geographical challenge as well, that on Bloomsbury, if people are having IT issues, they can usually call on a member of the IT team who's maybe a 10-minute walk away, if they're not actually sort of co-located with the person who's having the problem. We do not have that luxury here. We are at least 6 miles away. I've looked at it on Google Maps. It's a long walk. Yes, we've got good transport links, but you're still a good sort of 45 minutes to an hour away. So if we need to be responsive, we have to be self-sufficient. We have to have the right teams on site to do that. That means that from a sort of a user community perspective, they need to sort of view us as one IT. The last thing I want someone to be saying on the IT teams, and no one does in the IT teams who are here, say, that's not my job, I'm going to not look after it. I want sort of the people here to run towards things. They may not be the right person to solve it in that moment, but they can certainly help someone get over the hump of where they are, signpost to find the right person, and gracefully hand it over. That's what we need to be here, because we've got to be able to sort of support sort of in real time without sort of lots of support from the Bloomsbury teams, even though it's there in the background. Expectations versus reality, and I'll talk about this a little bit later as well, I imagine. People coming into this building with maybe a very fixed mindset about what they were getting, what they wanted. This is a program that's been running for about 12, 14 years now through all the different phases. There's been changes of personnel on both sides. So maybe something that was agreed a few years ago is actually now being enacted and managed and looked after by someone who's new to the program, who may have a completely different perspective on what they want. We've had to navigate some of those challenges over the past few months to kind of sort of bed down sort of what we can and can't do and how we are going to support. For me, the bottom point is this is all about adopting this partnering mindset, this user engagement mindset, putting yourself in this place of your customers, thinking about what they need, collaborating. So focusing less on the technology and thinking more about the people and taking that sort of human approach to it all. So student experience, let's talk about that a little bit. Now, again, high expectations of what they're expecting in this building. They come to this building for these novel programs, come to this campus for these novel programs, so they really want to sort of experience that. Everything needs to work really well. As I say, really, really high expectations there. But again, that consistency with the Bloomsbury experience, we do have students who are moving between the two campuses. So again, they need to feel comfortable that no matter where they are, they're getting the same level of support, they understand how things work, and they can just sort of get on with their studies, get on with their projects, whatever it is. To gauge that, to measure that, lots of engagement with our student union forums, sort of talk to the students, get lots of feedback. We've got lots of communication channels here, so we use those to push out how you get access to services, access to systems, how you borrow a laptop, how you use the cluster rooms, how you access the software, whatever it is, we do that. And we do also do that alongside our sort of our academic communities as well, to kind of push that messaging from the academic side as well. We have a hub desk. You might have seen it on the tours. The sort of two guys who sort of sit on the hub where it says hello on the second floor near to the refectory. That's been key to us because that kind of closes our support circle, not just for students, but also for staff. So there is somewhere that people can go to get immediate help or be signposted to help if it's not IT to other areas. So that's really important. Again, it goes back to that sort of point about we're geographically distant from Bloomsbury. So we have to have somewhere that people can go to get some help and support and then be signposted in the right way. Things that we have learned just quickly, and there is a longer list that sits behind this, but sort of some of the things I wanted to highlight. Overall, the students do love our technology offerings over here, and I've heard that from students directly at the forums. They really are happy with what they've got here. We do have state-of-the-art tech here. It works really well. It's helping them sort of with their studies, with the teaching. So they really love what we have here. What we have learned though is they want a bit more access to desktop PCs. We do have computer clusters around this building. You've probably seen them on the tours, but they are kind of ring fenced on the whole for certain programs. There is one generic one over in our Paul Street building. We probably need a little bit more of that. What's interesting about that is sort of slightly counter to the research that we have done about students bringing laptops in and using laptops. That's not the messaging we're getting here. Some of that is being driven by the demographic of students who are coming here because we bring a lot in from the Newham area. So they've got sort of slightly different sort of financial, sort of provisions or constraints. So therefore they want to be able to sort of do more in the building. They don't necessarily have access to a laptop. So something we might take for granted isn't necessarily reality. Same with Mac laptops as well. So we've done a little bit of work with some of the academic programs to help provide some Macs as well. As we've gone through the year, we've noticed we need to make some tweaks to some of our labs, especially on the media side, again, reflecting the ambitions of students, the ambitions of academics about how they want to use the spaces. So we're in the process of sort of updating some of those just to reflect those sort of project needs. And also innovation is a big thing here. You've probably seen the innovation lab, also known as the dry lab, up on the 5th floor. That's a space that they really want to be flexible and do different things. They want to be able to plug something into a PC and get it working, make a robot do something, make a Raspberry Pi unit do something, whatever it is. They want to be able to do that on the fly, install software on the fly, try new things out. You know, it is an innovation lab. The clue is in the title. So we have to think about how we support that as well. And we are sort of making inroads into that and what it means, but we have to think on the IT side about IT security and what that means and how we manage that safely. So we can't just kind of open things up. So if someone plugs something in, they're not going to introduce a virus into our systems. They're not going to sort of create some kind of network meltdown. So these are things that we need to think about. We are working through though with the teams in terms of what that means. Research support. This is something that we're building up at the moment. So it's been got quite a slow start as the sort of academics have come into the building and started to get used to all their new spaces. You know, it's all still new for them. They're still thinking a little bit about what they want to do. So from my perspective, it's about how we advise, how we guide, how we partner with people in terms of what they can do, what they want to do. So in my team, sort of align my team to individual academic communities and programs. So there's close working there. So there's consistency in conversations about what is needed. On the academic side, we kind of want them to think about, you know, their longer term goals and ambitions, where they want to go, articulating that to us, giving us enough time to sort of help them sort of set up and prep. You know, it doesn't help anyone if someone comes up and says, tomorrow I've got an engineer coming in to set up a bit of kit, and they're not giving us that notice. We've got the right people on site, or we've made sure that we've got the information security provisions in place, or whatever it is. So it's about sort of having that sort of roadmap about where people are going, so we can sort of plan accordingly. As I say, understanding the importance of IT security. This is coming up the UCL agenda very much. Thinking more and more about information security, sort of getting rid of any sort of black holes that we might have across the university, closing those loopholes, making sure that all kind of working in a sort of a safe way without affecting those ambitions about sort of research and teaching, etc. And then finally, you know, just more broadly thinking about strategies for how we can support them going forward. And a lot of that for me is about engagement, understanding it, taking those ambitions, mapping them to how we do our sort of planning term by term. So planning might be something you've heard of as a term from other speakers, and making sure that we are kind of delivering as we go along what they need in line with their expectations. So what does all of this mean in terms of sort of operational strategies, partner engagement strategies? For me, this has been a huge organizational transformation. It's not just building a building. And I think viewing it through that mindset is really, really useful. I mean, it's something that I've sort of done over sort of in previous parts of my career. So the business change and transformation has been a big part of my business partnering journey. So it's something that I kind of lean towards anyway, but I think it's really important, and getting people into that sort of state of mind is really important. Active engagement as well. Have those conversations, keep in touch with people, make sure they know who to go to, that we are understanding and articulating and feeding back to others sort of what those needs are. Bringing concepts to life over on the top right. For a long time, and Sheila will know this, everything was just on a bit of paper. It was 2D plans. It wasn't 3D at all. So as people were coming into the building and seeing sort of what they had agreed to maybe 2 years ago, maybe beyond that, sort of in 3D, in the flesh, standing in the space, that's when you start to have some sort of really sort of good, but sometimes quite difficult conversations about how things are going to work, where things are. You're possibly also talking to someone who's standing in the space who had nothing to do with what was agreed, because it's been, sorted out by someone who had left a few years previously. So once we're in that sort of reality space, that's really from late 2021 as this building came online, Paul Street was online. It's about, okay, let's just make sure expectations match reality and we're kind of moving forward in the right way together. Big part of that is the communities that we've got here. Those have been sort of grown up by lots of people. I stand on the shoulders of giants in terms of the communities that we have at UCL East. Lots of user communities, lots of academic communities focusing on particular spaces or different parts of the teaching programs. We've got a great general community that comes together once a month for a lunch, and we kind of talk about whatever's on our minds. We do presentations and so forth. But all of that together, from my perspective as someone who wants to engage, who wants to partner, who wants to have those conversations, is an absolute gift, really. It allows us to sort of talk to people, connect to them on a human level and have those chats and have those conversations. And also people know they've got those forum opportunities to come to me, come to others and have those chats. That also is about the alignment of IT. As I've said, my team kind of aligned to different programs. And don't underestimate the value of hiring really well. I have been incredibly lucky in the people that I've been able to bring in to UCL East. They are subject matter experts in their particular areas. They are people who run towards problems, not run away from them. And that is worth its weight in gold. And if there's some gaps in knowledge, you can train that. But you can't train, someone who wants to engage, who wants to help. That's a much more difficult thing. So it's about sort of getting the right people here. And I think we've got a great mix of people at UCL East. The support hub I've talked about, that's another part of that. Again, somewhere to go, a point of contact to help signpost where people are. And then making it real. This is the newest initiative actually on the IT side. We are now doing an induction for all of our new IT staff across IT. Not just at UCL East, but part of that induction is those people coming over here for a day to sort of spend time with me, which is probably the least interesting part of it. But getting a tour of the building, meeting people outside of IT from UCL East, so the Pro-Provost team, our community engagement, student union, etc. Really bring to life what we do here, because we want to make people understand that UCL East is a really important part of the UCL strategy and bring it to life. So we did our first one the other day. It went down really well. We'll be sort of doing them in the future. So in terms of measuring success, we sort of do all this engagement, we put things in, it's all new and shiny, it works, everything is great. But how do you measure that success? Well, we've had an IT delivery board in place for a few years now, and that's been sort of really useful in overseeing implementation technology. We have key stakeholders on that, helps provide the strategic direction, it signs off on budgets, program goals, objectives, so it keeps us honest in terms of what we're delivering, but it also gives us a form if we need to sort of deviate, make a change, they can approve that, sign off, resolve any conflicts if there were conflicts there. So it's all about communication, transparency, accountability. That board is being wrapped up now because this program is coming, or this phase of the program is coming to an end. Phase 2 is starting to start to take shape, but that's going to be sort of run over a period of a few years. So for me, it's about sort of taking that board and moving it forward into something more operational about ongoing service, ongoing improvements, keeping it going, delivery of new requirements, and again, how that then ties into our agile methodologies that I mentioned at the bottom. There's also a service delivery board, which is kind of faculty-wide, so that's not a UCL East focused board. Again, that offers feedback about our service, about performance. There are measures there. I'm part of that board as well, so it's how these two things intersect and interact. But again, it makes sure that we're kept honest about sort of what we're doing, how we're delivering it. And for me, it's a forum where I can go to faculty leaders and say, this is what we want to do, and make sure that they are actually, giving us that sort of correct steer. So I'm confident strategically we're going in the right direction. All of that, of course, is about partnering and engagement and feedback. That's all vital, as it says up there. So, that's where we want to be, just having those conversations. It's a virtuous circle. Takes a while to get it running, but once you do, you really reap the benefits of it. And then finally, it's about using our agile methodology, so TI planning, sort of our term planning, to iterate, advance, enhance what we're doing here. And we're kind of now edging into that cycle. Now we're kind of out the program phase. We're now sort of moving much more into the sort of the structures of TI planning and kind of working with those. We were anyway, but it's now much more important in terms of how we are delivering things. I can't just call Sheila up and say it's not working. Sheila says that's fine, we've got to put it into TI planning now. So just to wrap up, I'd say a bit of a canter through this. So as I say, working with these interdisciplinary programs, in the shared service environment, which is new to UCL. So really complicated, and it's all new, not just for ISD, not just for IT, but for everybody in the building. Pros and cons of that. One of the pros is, everyone's in the same space. You can all work together. The con is no one necessarily knows quite what they want and how to articulate it. So you've got to help them through that. Obviously, from an IT operational point of view, we are critical to the successful opening of this building, as are many other teams, but if AV is not working, IT is not working, people can't actually do what they're meant to be doing here. So it really, really is key. Importance of students, obviously they're at the forefront of what we're doing here. Their expectations are, very important to us. Expectations are high. We need to make sure we've got the right support model and service model in place. As I've said, I think consider a program like this as an organizational transformation, changes in ways of working, how people interact, what we're delivering, what we're offering, and seize those opportunities really. Keep the user engagement going. Just because the program's coming to an end, those user groups, those communities will keep going. I want them to keep going. I want those conversations to continue because it's vital for me that I'm having that interaction and I know where people want to go. So having that really embedded helps enormously. For me, it's about that personal, not technical engagement as well. So in terms of those engagement strategies, sort of it's very much a people first strategy for me. And then finally about having that sort of clear accountability and those governance mechanisms to make sure that what you're doing actually is in line with what people want. And we are being sort of kept honest and accountable at what we're doing, heading in the right direction, and we're maintaining the best service that we possibly can. So that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. As I say, a bit of a whistle-stop canter through what we've been doing here. But thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Certainly for me, I thought it was very refreshing to hear about the user-centered approach and how you talked about community and very much the human personal engagement about it. I think that's something that we can all relate to, particularly as we are such a big and actually quite close-knit community here.
Indeed, yeah, it's very important to me as well. So, anyone else?
Any questions? Yeah, Marcus.
The measurement piece, how I see the survey on the wall and the QR codes and things like that. I'm just sort of interested in holistically how you understand that the spaces are working for you and for the building users.
Some of that, so through the forums that we have, so that's a key way of doing it. People grab me in the corridor. That's a less formal way of doing it. We do have kind of surveys through the service desk. They're not necessarily sort of that well engaged with, but that's another route through, so we can sort of track things there, how quickly tickets are being measured and so on and so forth. But for me, it is about Student Union Forum, the user groups that we have, academic user groups. That's when people tend to come together and give you that honest feedback, and that's how we sort of track and measure things. And I can take that away and feed it into other groups, make sure we're doing it in feedback and say that we have, you said X and we have done Y to solve it. Hi.
amazing opportunity to start something completely fresh and have all the attitudes to it that you've had. What lessons are you taking away from it to take back to Bloomsbury to kind of retro?
I think for me, I think there are two things. There's a broader one, which is non-IT one, which is around Bloomsbury kind of looking to UCL East as a model for how you can do sort of shared spaces to be more sort of space effective, you know, and get the efficiencies there. I think more on the IT side of things, in terms of sort of working together in different teams, I would hope sort of that mindset sort of travels across. And we're starting, haven't done it just yet, but it's coming, going to start rotating around some of the IT folks. They have an opportunity to go and work in Bloomsbury for a while and come back here. We have apprentices over here. So for me, it's about sort of seeding a method of working that then sort of permeates out across the organisation. Okay.
I'm going to make that slightly. So Marcus is, if you haven't met, he's UAL. I never know this.
Ah, you can give me a tour.
I'm so sorry. I'm going to arrange a tour in a few weeks.
On-stage networking, I love that.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
fantastic. Robert, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today. Cheers.
You're welcome.
There we go. Perfect.
Just bear with us while we just sort out some logistics. Next speaker, Paul Milligan from Innovate magazine. I'm sure a lot of us know Innovate. They're a leading publication which is relevant to both specifiers, installers, and end users. And I believe Innovate's just about to celebrate its 20th anniversary.
Yeah, next year.
Next year. Fantastic. A publication both in print and online, regular newsletters. Paul's going to talk to us today about innovations in technology. Paul, thanks for joining us.
Fabulous, thank you very much. Yes, for those who don't know me, my name is Paul Milligan. I'm the editor of Innovate magazine, which is that. I look after the EMEA title. We also have one in APAC, which is headquartered in Singapore. We do 11 issues a year, 2 newsletters a week online, and we cover pretty much everything from classrooms, higher education, retail, transport, house of worship, corporate, visitor attractions, museums. There's probably a few I've left out, but kind of everything apart from kind of big rock and roll tours, really, because there are magazines that just do that, so we sort of let them get on with it, really. One of the reasons that I love this event, and I've said that to everyone at the team, it's a fantastic event. I love the way that you kind of all share kind of information and stuff. One of the reasons I'm here is that it's a great place for me to get case studies, right? I do 11 issues a year. Each one has 2 or 3 case studies in it. So that's about between 20 and 30 case studies that I need to find, right? So this is I've already had tip-offs of 2 for next year from speaking to some of you. I've been stalking Marcus for about a year and a half about UAL. Last year at Loughborough in the pub quiz, I was sitting next to Ian Knowles, and he said, "Oh, you should come and see. We've got a new building." So about 3 months later, the new building at University of Sheffield was on our front cover. So it does work. So afterwards, if I don't know you, or you've got something coming up next year or the year after even, just drop me a line or grab me and let me know, because we'd love to write about it, because I love this sector and I think you're doing some really fantastic work. So we'd like to really kind of shine a light on that if we can. Okay, so I'm here today to talk about kind of the wider kind of outside HE landscape, really, so the trends and things that we're seeing. One of the things we always hear from integrators is that clients are asking them for flexible spaces, right? That's a really vague thing to ask for, right? And it's a weird thing because AV traditionally has liked things that are fixed, right? We like things that have cables, things that are stuck onto the wall, can't move, because then they can't get lost, can't get stolen, or can't get broken, right? So we're having to sort of work around this. And what that often means, this is the sphere, this is the spine in Liverpool. There are sort of divisible walls there, maybe you can't see. It's a really good example. Divisible wall seems to be a big thing. It's also, we're looking at, like AV kit on wheels. I don't know if you saw it at Epson at ISE, had a really nice, it was like a prototype. It was about half the size of this, had a speaker built into it and a UST projector at the top. And it was on wheels, and it literally, you could move it from room to room. Not hugely high tech, but actually in terms of applications would be really useful, I think. So manufacturers you can tell they are starting to look and try and address the challenges of what flexible spaces mean. It also provides quite a lot of challenges for audio, because if you have walls that are moving, where are you going to put the speakers, right? So there's lots of challenges. We don't all have the answers yet, but we're sort of getting there. Interoperability is a huge issue for integrators right now. Manufacturers have been pushed harder and harder by integrators to play nice with each other. The old model, which is the old sort of Cisco model of you'll buy Cisco and nothing else, that seems to be dying out. And even Cisco, I've kind of finally realized, and I did a deal in 2022 with Microsoft Teams to kind of work better together. So the message is kind of getting across. And I don't think a week goes by where I don't get a press release about a new product getting Microsoft Teams certification. Certification is becoming huge. We're seeing Google EPLA for education as well. I don't think it's driving sales as yet, having that certification, but I think it's going to hurt you in the short and longer term if you don't have it. If you have a choice of 5 brands to choose from, 3 of them are Teams certified and the other 2 aren't. I think those 3 have definitely got a leg up, and I think that's only going to get stronger because Teams is becoming the dominant, especially in corporate, the dominant video platform, right? I think if you're more video orientated as an organization, you're probably still leaning towards Zoom. And Cisco is making a bit of a comeback because of that deal with Microsoft, but I think Teams seems to be the sort of dominant platform right now. Sustainability, you've heard it mentioned a few times in the last couple of days. It's obviously becoming a massive issue. Live events industry is probably where it's the biggest problem, really, because they're built up for 3 days and then that world collapses and disappears, and things get thrown into the bin, never to be used again. But also, it's coming up in a lot more. I was speaking to Kinley recently, and they were saying it's coming up more and more in the tender documents that you have to provide your sustainability credentials. Yeah, and what I'm hearing is that manufacturers can be very hit and miss when you ask them for information. Some are great, some are okay, some are terrible, right? Some don't give you information at all, are very vague, or it's like 2 weeks to get something back. So that's going to be a thing they're going to have to figure out in the next couple of years, because that question is going to come up more and more and more. If we go on to the next one. So hybrid working, which is a very hot topic right now, but I think a bit like sort of when UCNC first emerged, it's like, what does it actually mean? Because if you ask 10 people, you probably get 10 different answers, right? We did a piece on corporate AV recently where there was a survey that found that in the major US cities, they were working at 50% occupancy, which is a kind of staggering figure, really, because places that are just lying empty. I think it's slightly higher in EMEA and APAC, but it's still a lot of empty space. What are we doing with that extra space? Seems to be people trying to be a bit more creative with it. We're looking at sort of areas for wellness and well-being, which is quite a clever use. If we have all this space, you're still paying for it, so you might as well actually try and do something with it, right? I think we need to be kind of creative, especially it's the return to the office movement, as they're calling it. We have to be a little bit more creative about how we get people to come back, right? Because you're competing with their home, which is the ultimate comfortable experience, right? You've built that yourself. So we're having to compete with that. I think one thing where the kind of AV industry can help is in booking systems. Like if you're going into the office, say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, say, it's no good if you're sitting, there's 3 banks of desks, right? You're sitting at the bank 1, and the other person in the office at the same time is on the 3rd bank, right? So these booking systems have to be smart and say, look, Dave's coming in Tuesday, so is Sally, so let's put them together. Let's put them next to the best coffee machine or the nicest, window display or something. And we can do that using the technology. So we have to be just slightly clever about how we do that. But that's certainly something that people are thinking about. Immersive experience is another kind of tag that's been thrown around recently, and we've all seen the sort of the Van Gogh experience pictures and installs. There seems to be every city in the world seems to have had one of those by now. I think what we're finding is that meaning has been sort of watered down and sort of bastardized slightly. I've seen things described as an immersive experience where it's just one projector shining onto one wall, and it's like, come on, that's not it, So there are some really interesting things being done in that space. There's a company called COSM, which is COSM, which is an American company. They've built a couple of domes in the US, I think it's LA and Dallas. They've just done a deal in the Czech Republic for one where they're mixing projection and LED in a dome environment. And domes were always projection traditionally. Obviously, we've got Sphere is the one that, if you're going to Infocom, you'll probably see that in Vegas. That's the one that's getting all the hype. But actually, I think the interesting bit of Sphere is actually the audio, where every seat has got exactly the same audio. I mean, how many gigs have you been to where you're like, the band were good, but I had a terrible position, or my seats were rubbish, or the Sphere is trying to kind of eliminate that. So that's the really interesting bit about that. Retail is another one that's interesting. They all seem to have struggled with AV for some reason. They can't kind of find the right solution. I was at an Abson event in Malta last year, and everyone was kind of saying the same thing, that we've tried this and we've tried that, and nothing really seems to hit home. The problem they have there is the floor space is so precious that they just want to fill it with stock, right? They've got these warehouses full of, say, clothes, but they can't get rid of kind of half of that to put a really nice LED screen. So they're grasping for the right solution. No one's really found that yet. AR things haven't worked that well because people just want to shop. They don't want to put on glasses, or they don't want to. If you're lucky, they'll get out their phone and kind of try something, but they haven't really found the ideal kind of home for that yet. Data is another really interesting piece, I think, recently. There's so much of it at all our fingertips now, right? And whether we use that for sort of good, it is a big question. I think I'm not sure that the industry as a whole, I'm aiming this more at integrators really, are kind of using it enough. I think they should be using it far more than they are. I mean, aside from the general monitoring of products, is this on, is this off, is this working? You can actually use it to drive future purchases, because you can say, well, look at room 17, that's got 20% utilization. Room 25 has got 80%. So what's the difference in those kits? So that can help you choose the next round of kind of purchases that you make. That's going to help you buy the right kits. You're not going to waste money, because no one's got money to waste, right? AI, obviously, is another one that's coming up more and more. Again, I don't think anyone's really figured out what that means with regards to the AV industry just yet. I think one of the things that it could possibly help with is, if you're, let's say, programming, it could certainly help with cutting out a lot of that sort of donkey work with the code and stuff. I think one of the best demos I saw of it was on the QC stand at ISE, where it was tracking the speaker, so it actually knew where you were going to move. So if you moved around, the camera followed you, right? It's a very simple thing, but actually it's that kind of virtual director technology. That's where AI can kind of help us do that sort of stuff, rather than actually having a director in the room. You can let the AI do it for you. But again, I think AI is something that as an industry, we're still trying to figure out how it's going to benefit us. Standards are becoming very important. The old joke about AV is, the good thing about standards in the AV industry is there's so many of them. I think it is getting better in that regard. Dante is now the common kind of audio platform. It seemed to win the war over AVB. It'd be interesting to see how the video platform of Dante gets on. It's the same kind of take-up. The IMPX standard was created solely for the interoperability of video over IP systems. So it seems like the message is getting through that we want kind of fewer standards, and the ones we have, we want them to be kind of adopted widely. Diversity, again, another issue that's been talked about more and more. I don't know if you saw the attendance figures for ISE, but 16% of attendees at ISE 2024 were female. So it's a huge amount of work to be done in that regard. There's the Avixa Women's Council, which is doing great work, but as you can see from that 16%, there's a hell of a long way to go before we kind of reflect the sort of wider society that they're all living in. Opportunities in terms of kind of where AV can make some money, really. We did a big piece on XR studios in the corporate environment. You're not talking about a huge amount of money for setups anymore, right? LEDs, Blackmagic cameras aren't hugely expensive, not like the sort of Sony ones of old. And for things like kind of corporate presentations and stuff, could really work in a sort of corporate environment. I think for using kind of XR, you could have the CEO walking around a warehouse, for example, but he's actually in a sort of tiny meeting room. The interesting bit for that, really, and I think it's come up here as well, is who is actually going to manage that kit, right? Is it going to be the IT team? Is it going to be the AV team? Or are they going to be production staff? Because we're talking about a live production, this is content, this is live production content, right? So do you actually get specific production people in? or do you give those production skills to your IT team or your AV team? That's going to be an interesting one to watch, I think. Front row, another one, this kind of 16:10 ratio. There seems to be hugely different opinions about how much take-up this will have. I think the important bit really is the impact it's having on the conversation about furniture and how important that is in meeting rooms. You know, there's a few of the vendors I saw yesterday, and they're doing some really great work with furniture. It's not maybe the sexiest thing to talk about, but actually can make a huge difference. You can see it here, the difference good furniture makes to a room, right? Also, the other interesting thing I thought about when Microsoft Front Row, I mean, they published this sort of ideal setup, and it included projection, which kind of had almost died in the kind of corporate market, really. So it was interesting to see that Microsoft were pushing this kind of Epson projector as part of this kind of ideal solution for a sort of really nice kind of corporate meeting room. We can talk about projection because it's an interesting one. Obviously, it's the stalwart of the AV industry, right? It's been going for 30, 40 years, and lots of people have made lots of money out of it. It's now becoming a more sort of niche technology, really. You're looking at projection mapping, both indoor and outdoor. I mean, it still can have hugely impressive results. We did a piece recently on classroom AV, and Epson really wanted to push the idea of immersive classrooms. And they had a nice setup at IC. It was like a 3 projector setup. So that can work. I mean, I don't know how many schools have got the money for that. Probably not very many, but I think it is effective. We're seeing more cave environments, and universities I know are kind of looking at those. They have fantastic results. One thing I thought was really interesting at IC, there was Silicon Core, as a kind of American LED manufacturer, had this kind of virtual reality setup, and they work with a company called Vertalis. And you had glasses on, and there was 2 of you, so you were standing side by side, you had the glasses on, and you were looking at an LED screen, but you had different perspectives of the same image. Say it was like a 3D model of like a plane engine. So if I'm standing here, I'll get this image. It's a slightly different image. If you use projection for that, you can get up to 6 people. You're having 6 different views. So for like collaboration, a sort of VR environment, that could be fantastic, I think. It just needs the sort of industry to kind of grab it, really. LED, obviously, still a hugely popular item in the world. I mean, you only have to walk around IC and you can't move for LED, really. The interesting point is because it's so saturated now, that market, that the selling point, you know, there's great products, there's a load of really good products in the middle, and then there's obviously terrible sort of Chinese things that will fall apart in your hands at the bottom that hopefully none of us are buying, right? So it's becoming increasingly harder to choose between them. So what we're finding is the differentiator is actually the service that you're getting from each brand. That's the thing that's driving the sales. It's like, will someone answer if you're on site and something goes wrong and you ring a number up, will they answer straight away? Or will you get an email back in 2 weeks' time saying, what is the problem? Can we help? That's the thing that's kind of driving sales for LED. Video bars are the last one. I mean, again, that's the product that's come out of nowhere in the last sort of 4 years. I was speaking to someone yesterday, apparently there are now 42 different companies offering video bars. So that market has got saturated in a really quick time. I think talking about audio, sort of in the wider context, most audio in corporates now seems to be 80 to 90% is being delivered via a sound bar or a video bar, which is kind of good and bad. Good because those products are getting better, so they're delivering better sound. But it also means that a lot of big corporates aren't really looking at kind of good acoustics and stuff. They're just saying, well, we'll just whack a nice video bar in there, that will do the job. You know, and it will do the job if it's, you know, 2-person, 4-person, maybe 6-person meeting room. Bigger than that, we want them to really to be looking at more, you know, like DSPs and things like that, and trying to kind of invest in kind of audio acoustic technology. I think that's going to be an uphill struggle, really. Onto the final slide. I think one thing that's been really interesting is seeing AV companies that were kind of known for one thing try and create a kind of whole ecosystem. Obviously, the most famous one is probably QSC with QSys, right? They were a speaker manufacturer for years. Biamp have done the same. They're trying to, Rashi Scaff, when he took over, the first thing he said was, we want to try and build this one-stop shop, yeah? I mean, Hall Technology is another sort of slightly smaller American company that are trying to do the same thing, but I think it's really interesting that those companies see that as the sort of future rather than just trotting out product after product. They want you to buy into this whole system. And obviously that kind of lacks onto the growth of software in the AV industry. I mean, this is an industry that's built itself on boxes, right? I mean, you know, hardware has been the thing. Software is growing year on year, every single year. We're having pro audio companies now hiring teams and teams of software engineers. This is the whole industry that built its fortune on giant black boxes, now hiring these teams of software people. And I've spoken to them before about it and they've denied it, but I can see a future where Crestron becomes a software company. I know, touch panels have bought, private jets for Robin Van Muren, etc. But, I think the clever thing they do is probably the software, right? So 5-10 years, could we see that? I could definitely see that. They always deny it, obviously, but I think that we could see a company that big just offering software. I think the hardware as a software model is a really interesting one. You're kind of leasing this stuff rather than buying it. Builds into the kind of sustainability issue as well. I think there's a real opportunity for integrators to grow that particular business. Security has been mentioned before. As we move to kind of everything over IP, security has become a huge issue across all industries. But I mean, especially corporate, where there are sort of corporate secrets to be hidden away. The piece we've done recently on corporate AV, I spoke to Kinley, Diversified, and AVI-SPL, and they've all got their own IT security teams now. These aren't AV people; these are IT security specialists, right? So they understand the importance of that. Because I think it was mentioned before, we always talk about if we go into meetings and we can talk their language, then it takes some of that fear away. And it's interesting that some of the big companies have kind of realised that. And finally, on to training. It's been a bugbear of mine for years that we don't really do that in the AV industry so much, or as much as we should. It's difficult to get young talent to come through. I think I need to give a huge shout out to sort of Jack Laidlaw, the work he's doing at Middlesbrough College in creating the world's first AV degree. We need others to follow his path. Also want to shout out Visualization, that's kind of known for rack building, but they're becoming a distributor now. They've just gone on to their second program of an apprenticeship scheme. And we need kind of more kind of manufacturers, distributors to kind of pick up those programs really, because we all know, you look around ISE or any kind of larger kind of AV gathering, there aren't that many. That's why we started the 40 under 40. There aren't that many young people in the industry, right? We need to get more in. Everyone knows it, but it's a difficult thing to do because the path isn't kind of straightforward. All right, that's it for me. Like I said, if you've got any nice case studies for me, please come and grab me or email me or grab me on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul. I think the thing that I take away from that is, events like this, we all get to share what we're doing in higher education, but I think it's really important to get a sense and keep tabs on what's happening in other verticals. So thank you, Paul, for talking us through what you're seeing there. Right. We're going to hand over to Dave for the final part of the conference before we do the raffle. You may remember in 2022 when I hosted at UEA, Jack Laidlaw launched the AV apprenticeship, and we have our own Aaron Turlington-Smith with Celia Harvey, who's here to talk about her experiences of being part of that apprenticeship since. So I'm going to hand over to Dave to work through that.
Great, thank you very much. Celia, Aaron, welcome to the stage. Aaron, it makes a change for you to be seen.
I've finally made it to the conversation with Dave.
Yeah, it's happened. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it? Celia, welcome.
Thank you.
Not your first LTSMG?
No, that's my third now. Yeah, I went to
Third?
went to the Christmas one, and then I went to the one when I was it was last year in February or something like that when I just started. Yeah, before I was even on the course.
So you're part of Aaron's team at Loughborough University.
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about your role within the team.
So as an apprentice, I have 4 days where I'm at work doing like support, whether that's in the lecture theatre, and then I've got the other side of it where I've got 1 day where I've got like a day release from college. For college, so I have it's like 8 hours. It's like 6 different subjects, and within that, I'm doing like work for assignments and then just your standard like classes.
So when was it you actually joined Aaron's team? What's the journey been to where you are at this point?
Yeah, so I joined in February of last year. with no knowledge about AV or anything. Didn't even know if it's something I wanted to go into.
How did that hire work out? You just
Actually,
needed a...
this started way before actually. So when Celia was 15, she came to my team to do the work experience. So you'd had a little bit of a
that's like
taste
a
of it,
week.
I guess. And then Celia was employed at the university doing a completely different role. So and then me and Celia got talking. We had the apprenticeship coming up, so I tried to talk Celia into getting into the industry. But as she says, zero experience. So and because of that, we did make a conscious decision not to. We were going to put Celia into the apprentice scheme in that February intake, but we made the decision not to, I think, because we thought it could get her in the team and for 7-8 months, get a bit of experience behind her before she sort of undertook the first part of the course.
And you found that helped you just to have that grounding to get to your point that, like, I suppose, what was it, the industry itself felt more familiar, or at least you've been able to familiarise yourself with some of the technology a bit more?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because if I'd just gone into it with no experience whatsoever, I would have found it like very overwhelming, because there's just a lot of information thrown at you really quickly, and you've got to kind of pick it up and move on to the next topic. But having that kind of like base knowledge of like a little bit of AV knowledge was really useful going into it.
So the apprenticeship you're doing is the one through Middlesbrough College.
It is, yeah.
And we heard from Jack Laidlaw a couple of years ago over at Norwich when the apprenticeship was being launched. What's your education journey been to this point? Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 20.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So previously to the apprenticeship, I did a A-level at Loughborough College. I was doing just history, psychology, and finance. Yeah. So nothing to do with AV or like technology at all, really. And then, after that, I had done another apprenticeship before that in test engineering, but I didn't find that I had very good experience with the whole apprenticeship scheme. So I thought I'd try out a different avenue. So I was I worked in customer service for a bit, for about a year. And then, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and then got approached to do the apprenticeship, and I thought I'd give it another go.
And as we know, nobody chooses to go into AV, right?
No.
It's always an accident.
That's what I've heard. Everyone kind of just falls into it.
Do you play an instrument? Are you a musician?
I've done a bit of guitar, but
there we are.
Really.
Isn't that always the theme? But there's some sort of failed musician type theme.
That's it. I'm not very good at all.
So talk us a little bit more through the content of the apprenticeship. What sort of topics are you covering? And from the chats we've had before, it's really broad, isn't it? It's not just looking at education.
No, it's very holistic. So we've got six subjects. I've had to write them down, so I can't remember them all off the top of my head. So we've got audio capture. So you're working with like Pro Tools, doing a lot of audio capture, stuff like that. Next one is professionalism and communication. So you're doing like SLAs, you're doing like project improvement plans, carrying them out. And then you've got online events and conferencing. So you're doing all your planning, like you're doing your schematics, all of that. And then you learn how to run the event as well. And you've also got on-site event production. So you're learning about lighting, rigging, audio mixing, like everything to do with live events, basically. Then you've got system design, so you've got like schematics, you're doing all your drawings, everything like that. Working to like project scopes and project briefs and designing a scope around that. And then you've got video technology, so doing filming, post, and pre-production stuff as well. So it's really broad. Yeah, a lot of.
And I think that does bring challenges with it as well, because I think we've found there's certain elements of these assignments that we don't have the expertise in house or the the environment or the equipment. So
I was going to ask you about that. How you support those things where you perhaps can't within your world in the university give Celia the exposure to those.
Well,
things.
As Paul just said, it's a great community, right? So we've had help from integrators. We do a lot of work with a live events company that are local to Loughborough. We approached them very early on when Celia started, and they've been absolutely fantastic, haven't they? So as an example, for fireworks night. They invited Celia to go and do some building mapping with them,
Nice.
so
Yeah, that was really
to get
cool.
some experience. So yeah, we're having to ask for help to get through it, but yeah, it all seems to be working.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the college is really supportive. It's really supportive as well. You get like the tutor is always like willing to help with assignments, even if it's not like his like specialty. He's always there. Like if you need help, just let me know. And yeah.
So you mentioned your tutor. How are you in touch with them? It's all remote, I assume.
Yeah,
by
it's all remote.
Teams
Yeah,
or-
just via Teams, or
Yeah.
an email. But they have like sessions on a Monday and Tuesday. So if you couldn't make the Friday session, just catch up on Monday, Tuesday, or you just send them a message, and I'll send over any details or any information on work that you've missed.
And what about the rest of your class? How big's the class, and what sort of interaction do you get with them?
Yeah, so there's about 20 in the class, so it's not a big class, and that's mainly via Teams as well. So if anyone's struggling with an assignment, you just send them all a message, and everyone's always like willing to help you out and stuff like that. But I think they're trying to do some events where they kind of bring all the apprentices together.
Okay,
As
so
well.
do you have any live classes then as part of it?
Yeah, so it's all
Yeah.
online, but yeah, they're live.
They're-
Yeah, on,
so
on
you
the
can watch-
Friday.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
kind of they put you all into like your separate groups, and then you kind of meet and talk to people that you've not really spoken to before.
So when we spoke about this before, you were saying that actually it's a whole load of work. So you've
Yeah.
got 4 days being an active part of Aaron's team. You've got your 5th day there where you're sort of, on your computer watching your lessons.
Yeah.
But actually there's a lot more to it than that. You've actually got a lot of assignment work to do.
Yeah.
And it sounds pretty brutal actually.
Yeah, so you get 12 assignments that you have to complete a year. So it's 2 for each of the 6 topics, and then within that you get assignments every week for some of the individual classes as well. So audio capture, you'll always be set an assignment every week that you have to complete, and then you have your 2 big ones that are mandatory. Yeah, so it is a lot, I'd say, but it is really good.
So how does that work? I mean, does Aaron give you the time to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard, right? Because you've got to try and find that balance between, making sure that Celia's got the time to do the college work. Obviously, she doesn't come into the office on Friday, so we give her that time to do the online lessons. But I think it's fair to say that it's intense, and Celia does need more time within the working days. But we also have to find that balance with Celia. She's employed at the university to also do a technician role. And also we want to try and expose Celia to other areas in the team, like the project side of things. And, so she gets experience in all areas as well. So it is a bit of a juggle at time, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a bit sort of the beauty of working in a university environment is there's so many disciplines that you can be exposed to as well. So not saying that you might want to drift out of the world of AV, but there's lots of other things going on, isn't there? It's quite a community. It's like a village in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and that is one thing I do like about the course content. Actually, is it is covering, as we discussed earlier, it's covering such a wide breadth of different areas. And Celia does have a full-time technician role at the university once she completes the college, which is great. But she's had that exposure to the live events and all that, so it will give her opportunities in the future if she does want to change direction and not. It doesn't just cover higher education, which I think is really good. Of course.
So where are you with it at the moment? It's a 2-year apprenticeship.
Yeah, so it's 2 years. It's a
Yeah.
level 5. So
Right.
then that's like a foundation or an undergraduate, something like that.
And you're nearing the end of your first year.
Yeah, so I'm 8
Okay.
months in. Got like four months left of this year.
And is there kind of like a big assignment to finish year 1, or?
No, it's just
Okay.
got to complete all 12
Right.
assignments, and then I think that you get like a overall grade for each one.
Nice.
Yeah, so going to be separately graded for the first year.
What responsibility is there upon you, Aaron, not just as line manager, but within the sort of educational aspects of it? Are you expected to sort of mentor or provide reviews as part of the
So
program?
I actually don't officially line manage Celia. So Andy Palmer, who's in here somewhere, he's the AV team manager. So, but I made a commitment to Celia when she came into the team that I wanted to support her through this. So we have regular meetings once every couple of weeks. We talk through all the college modules. I do feel like I'm living this course as well. We meet regularly with the course leaders as well. That happens once every 10 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
And they'll give very open and honest feedback where Celia is and anything I need to do, and I have to fill in constantly fill in assessment forms to to support Celia if there's any areas I'm concerned about and so on. So the support there is really good actually from Middlesbrough. It's been excellent.
Would you recommend it? If I say it to you first, Darren, because it sounds like there is an administrative overhead for you there. There is a time demand, and maybe for Andy too.
It is hard work, but I think it is rewarding. It's rewarding for me. I found it quite rewarding, and I'm learning stuff as well at the same time. So, and I think Celia, it's rewarding for Celia. I think, and she's excelling. It's been, for me doing that kind of more mentor role as well. It's been fantastic to see. Celia came into the team with no experience into an office of 12 experienced technicians. Right, that's a difficult thing for anyone to do. So, so seeing Celia grow through that. And get the experience, I think has been worthwhile. Absolutely.
And I've seen that. I'd like to echo that from when I first met you, Celia. How I know you now. I've really seen your confidence grow. That's something I've really seen, and that's really energizing. Which is fantastic. What other comments would you make about the program? Is there any particular highlights about the content or about the experiences that you've had as a result of being on the apprenticeship?
Yeah, I think just learning with other people and just because obviously everyone coming into it, they might have like a base knowledge like I did, but I think getting help from other people who are in the same position as you, because we're all good at different things. Like some people are better at the audio capture side, other people are better at the filming and the editing side of it. So just being able to get expertise from both the students and then technicians that I work with, and Aaron and Andy have been really helpful. And
I think one of the highlights has probably been your last assignment, course mark, which you might want to share.
Tell us more.
Yeah, so my last one that I got back was system design, and I got 100%. So yeah, that was good. Yeah, so that's been my highlight so far. So yeah, that was.
What were you designing for? What was the application?
So I think it was like a bike shop. So I was doing all the speaker placement and a video wall, and like designing where the rack would go, where I'd put the rack, and everything, just like choosing all the products and stuff. So
fantastic. I feel like I want to go back and do an apprenticeship.
Well, look, it isn't. It's for people in the industry as well. So I did have that conversation recently with Middlesbrough. Actually, that they're trying to encourage people that are already in the industry to take the course on as well.
And there's probably a number of you in the room who actually got apprenticeships already. I mean, a show of hands, who's got an apprentice as part of their team? Yeah, like 3 or 4, 5. Yeah, and I'm sure there's more thinking about it. Lots of nods, in fact. And you'd recommend. I think it sounds like it's a wholehearted recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely would. Yeah.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I mean, thanks, Celia, Aaron, for joining us today. Look forward to working with you further.
Yeah,
cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Oh, there it is.
Right. Okay. Let's wrap this up, shall we? Okay, so this moment everyone's been waiting for. And our fantastic sponsor raffle. So for those of you who have entered, thank you so much. Obviously, we've been collecting the money for charity. I'm really pleased to say that we've raised £750 for Loros. So well done. And we as an exec are going to top that up to make it £1,000. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you to everybody for buying tickets and to our sponsors for such generous prizes. So we're going to do this in the normal way of calling out. I'll call out the prize, and Dave will call out the winner, and then you can come collect your prize and pick another name out of the hat for the next prize. So first up, we have got from Ampatronic 2 cases of Milestone Brewery beer.
So I need to go and get the bowl, don't I?
Oh, you do, yeah.
I thought we were doing the wheel.
The wheel? No, I've not had time to do that.
Technology's
Unfortunately,
let us down.
No, yeah, it's been busy.
Here's the bowl.
Before we do this,
Right.
has anybody
Cheers.
not put their raffle cards in? Just double check. I know there's a few flying around the Olympic Park somewhere, but mention no names, Richard. Okay, all right then, Dave.
This is the bit where I pronounce everyone's names wrong, so I apologise in advance. Okay. So donating the first prize, is it alphabetical order? Is
It is, yeah.
So Ampetronic, first prize of the day, Adrian Jun.
There we go. Thank you. You draw the next name. And the next prize from AMX is a set of JBL noise cancelling headphones.
And that's going to be going to Stephen Ellis.
There you go. The next prize, kindly donated by Ava, is a £100 John Lewis voucher.
That's going to be heading up north to Chris Pearson, or with Chris Pearson.
Look at that. Fantastic. Next prize, kindly donated by Biamp, is a Pure Evoke Spot compact music system. Try saying that on day 3 of a conference.
Exactly. Gary Aitken.
There you go, Gary. Draw the next name. Okay, next prize from Bluestream is a Tangent Pebble Max wireless speaker.
This is going to be traveling overseas. Pete van der Zanden.
Hey. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next prize, kindly donated by Canon. It's a desk light and speaker that will be sent out to you afterwards.
So that's going to be going to Stuart Rowe. Congrats.
If you want to come up, Stuart, and collect your information sheet and draw the next name. Okay. The next prize is from Christy, and it will be sent out afterwards, but it will be a £50 Amazon voucher.
Very nice indeed. The lucky recipient is David Phillips.
The next one is kindly donated by Crestron, and it's a bottle of Macallan whiskey.
So I hope Richard Leslie likes whiskey.
There you go. Okay, really nice prize, this one, as they all are, but this one is piqued my interest, certainly. It's from CUK, and it's a cable tester.
Always
Very
handy.
handy.
Yeah. So Patrick Doyle, have you got some cables that need testing?
Brilliant. Next prize, donated by Digital Projection and AVM, is a Fuji Polaroid camera.
Very nice indeed. Get snapping. Campbell Jameson.
There you go, Campbell. Okay. Next up, from D10, we have 6 bottles of wine.
Come on down, Jay Ahmed. Are they going back on the train?
Brilliant. Next prize, kindly donated by Extron, is a UCS 601 USB-C dock, which will be sent out to you afterwards.
So that's what I've got to ask. Justin Dawson, are you an Extron house? Because you've got some new Extron kit.
Brilliant. Next prize, kindly donated by Hikvision. It's a bottle of champagne and a Hikvision goodie bag.
Jason
Rucksack.
Ramsden. Congrats.
There you go. Next prize, kindly donated by Hugh Shot. It's 4 weekend tickets at the British Superbikes with Garage Tour and a Meet the Team.
Wow.
Yeah.
David Ammon. No, it's not. Oh, I'm jealous. Tom Madden. Is there a +1? I'll come.
Fantastic. The next prize, kindly donated by Hudley. It's a Lenovo and Hudley MTR headset, and that will be sent out to you afterwards.
Sending out to Ian McCormack.
Next prize is from Igloo, and it's a bottle of champagne.
Just about read it. Chris McAvoy.
Sorry, mate. Giving you a
That's a very colourful box. There you go. Okay, dig deep, please.
Next prize, kindly donated by Jabra. It's a Panacast table stand and Speak 750 MS.
Michael Hepburn.
There you go, Michael. The next prize, kindly donated by JM Lecterns. It's a Harrogate Betty's hamper and a bottle of fizz.
Is Brian Bugler.
There you go, Brian. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Next up, we've got a Kramer K-Speak.
For Johnny Hooton.
Nice one.
Nice.
Okay. Next prize, kindly donated by Lightwear, and it'll be sent out to you afterwards, but it'll be a pair of Apple AirPods.
Michael Bessel.
Okay, so next up we've got three prizes donated by Logitech. So these will be drawn separately. So first up we've got a business keyboard and mouse.
Luke Blower. You're allowed to abandon your post for a moment. Which one is it? Congrats.
Thank you. And we've got another keyboard and mouse from Logitech.
And this set is going to Colin Wiley.
at your feet, Colin. There you go. And finally from Logitech, we've got a keyboard and a Brio.
And they are going to Sam Ford.
There you go, Sam. Okay. Next up, we've got a £50 Amazon voucher from Locksit.
What I particularly like on here is it says attempt to, sorry. Callum Grant, you know it's yours.
Okay. Okay, next prize, kindly donated by Netgear, and it will be sent out to you afterwards. It's a 5G hotspot.
Always handy. Ooh, there's an audible ooh. Philip Stewart.
Fantastic. Next up, One Media have kindly donated a bottle of champagne.
And Kyle Christie is the recipient. Tattinger, no less.
There you go.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Next up, a pair of noise cancelling earbuds from Panasonic.
For Owen Parry. There's still quite a few to go.
Yeah, we've still got some going.
There we go.
Okay, next up is a £50 Amazon voucher from Presentation Spaces.
Very nice indeed. Samantha Davis. Congrats.
And next up, we've got a Clear One USB camera and speakerphone, kindly donated by Polar.
Harrison Andrews. Oi, oi.
Oh, yeah. Cheers, mate. Lovely. Next prize, kindly donated by QSC, an experience day worth £250.
Oh, very nice. Well, that's going to a local lad, Alex Dowdswell.
That will be sent out to you afterwards, Alex. Next prize from RGB. It's a Clear One Versa USB-C Dante dongle and a rucksack that we posted out to you afterwards.
Cool, I'll try and say that in one breath. Matt McDonald.
Got the dongle here, Matt. It's just the rucksack that will come out to you afterwards. There you go. Okay, next prize. There's a lot running around this, isn't it? It's a set of IE Pro wireless earbuds from Sennheiser.
Ian Knowles.
There we go. Still a few to go. Okay, next up. Kindly donated by Shaw. It's a set of Aonic 40 wireless headphones.
For Paolo Libita.
There you go. Congratulations. Okay, next up from Sharp NEC, it'll be sent out to you afterwards. It's a £50 Amazon voucher.
For Paul Burt.
And next up, it will also be sent out to you afterwards. But from TK Team, we've got a case of wine.
Will be on its way to Neil Davey. How many more we got left, Matt? How are we doing?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've still got 10.
Still 10 prize. Oh, yeah, look.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a good stir. 10 to go.
Okay, next up, it'll be sent out afterwards. It's a £75 Amazon voucher from Teammate.
Very nice. Dean Mason.
Okay, next up. Top Tech have kindly donated a £100 Red Letter Days voucher.
The lucky recipient is Mark Taylor.
Okay, next up, Visualization have kindly donated a £50 Amazon voucher. It'll be sent out afterwards.
Chris Gooch.
Lovely. Next up from VisRT, we've got a new tech PTZ3 camera and Spark Plus IO HDMI.
There's a nice little set. Yeah, another little ooh there. Yeah, we like that one. Nice little setup there for John Chiffins.
Ooh. Okay. Next up, sent out afterwards as well from Wolf Vision. It will be another case of wine.
Do you like wine, Celia? Because you've just won some. Congrats.
Next up from X2O, we've got a bottle of champagne.
Richard Bath.
There you go, Richard. Fantastic. Okay, another ticket prize. So Zevi have kindly donated tickets to see cricket at the Lords. Who's that going to, Dave?
I'm just so ready to make some cricket jokes. Yeah, I'm just stumped though. That's, oh dear, yeah. Matt, I'm going to bat it over to you. Right, oh, I'm stopping.
Come on.
Tony Wright. I know you're all creased up. Yeah. Yay.
Okay, final two now. So we have from Wirestorm, we've got a Wirestorm Carhartt hat.
Mark Dunlop.
There you go, Mark. Congratulations.
It's our very last one, is it?
It's our very last one,
Okay.
and kindly donated by Pete van der Sanden. We've got a 1-year license to the Education Spaces viewer software.
Marcus Saunders.
Yeah, and that concludes the raffle. Yeah, of course.
So I think we should give a huge round of applause and thanks to our very generous sponsors for putting in so many wonderful prizes. Yeah. And while we're on the subject of thanks, this is going to be like the credits to a blockbuster movie. So I'm going to go through a whole list of thanks we'd like to give. Hopefully I'm not going to miss out anyone. And then we'll just do one great big round of applause at the end.
Sounds good.
So first, thanks to the staff here at UCL, in particular Sheila Egan, of course, our host, and then Chris upstairs, who looked after us in the management suite yesterday. We've had a great time here at your university and your new campus, so thank you very much. And also the other university campus that we've been at, University of the Arts London, London College of Fashion. Huge thanks to Marcus and your team, Tamon and Dan, the tech team who are running the show yesterday for us. Thank you so much. Our other venue we've had, the London Stadium. There's so many people to mention at the London Stadium who've supported the event, who've helped with the load-in, who've helped with the power, the catering. I think you'll agree they've been fantastic, and it's been a really stunning venue for the sponsor exhibition. Our sponsors, of course, 45 manufacturer sponsors this year. They've been so generous with their support of the event. They provide so much to the event, including obviously the finances to run the group and support the events that we run. So massive thanks to them. To you all as delegates for actually coming and making this community what it is. Thank you for making the effort to get here by whichever means, whether it be walk, run, cycle, plane, train, boat. If you didn't turn up, we'd all be pretty lonely here. So thank you very much. To the crew, some of whom you may not have seen any of because they've been working hard behind the scenes. Luke and Andy, who've been doing a lot of logistics work, moving stuff around, moving people around. Our other Luke, who's there running the live stream. And he's pretty much acted as a personal assistant to myself and Matt this week, which has been very, very helpful. And then there are three other guys I need to mention. This guy, Matt, you're awesome. Adam, Aaron, you're awesome too. Cheers. Cheers. I think we need to talk about next year.
We do, don't we?
So we're going to do something a little bit different next year. We've got an approach that we'd like to take for next year. See how you feel about this. We want to take an approach where we don't need you to travel. We're very conscious about sustainability, and we're actually going to run the event in virtual production. I'm joking. I'm joking. Matt, what's actually happening? Yeah, had you for a minute. What's actually happening in 2025?
Right, I'm going to throw over. Would the conference host for 2025 please stand up? Ooh. We're off up to Scotland. So,
Camel, do you want to say a few words? Come on down.
Well, we, for the last 4 or 5 years, all the Scottish delegates have travelled down here. So this year or next year, it's going to be you guys all come up to us. So there's going to be a few different ideas coming to you. Kilts are optional, but we'd love you all to wear a kilt, especially for the Wednesday night. We've some great ideas, great thoughts of how we're going to do it. We're going to try and do a couple of things a wee bit different, give you a Scottish feel to what we're going to do. So If anybody's got any ideas, any suggestions, anything they want to do, want to try, feed it through the team. It will come to myself and Ian, and we'll see what we can do to try and help. Yeah. So deep fried pizzas, deep fried Mars bars. We're going to get iron brew under all your seats, everything like that. So we're going to try and see if we can put a Scottish twist to it. So look forward to having you all up there. We hope everybody can make it, and hope everybody endures the journey that we do every year. And then there's a good train run, and also easy to come up on the plane. So we hope everybody will come up and everybody will have some fun. So yeah, I'll pass you back up to the guys. And I think from a delegate perspective, I'd like to thank the team for what they do and the amount of work that goes into the background. So yeah, thanks guys for what you do.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Campbell. Thank you. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that. I hope you are too. We've got a couple of different ideas for our December event as well, which we're still in the works for at the moment. So keep your eyes peeled for what we're going to be posting out about that. I think we're there, are we?
I think it's a wrap, mate.
I think it's a wrap. Brilliant.
Thank you all. Safe journeys home.
Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers, fella.
Yeah, no worries at all.
We'll see you at Christmas.
Yes, yeah.
Cheers, thanks so much.
Thank
Really
you.
good.
No
Yeah,
worries,
really
good
good.
to see you.
Yeah. Good feedback.